Welcome to the Recklessly Skeptical Podcast. This is Josh.
This is Matt.
And I'm Joe.
Well, welcome, guys. We wanted to make sure that you knew how to find us. You can find us on Recklessly Skeptical both on YouTube and on Spreaker, as well as you can find our Facebook group, which is The Evil Atheists. And that's the group page, not the whatever page.
It's not the community page, so you have to request to become a member.
Yep, and we'll, of course, allow you to join because we want as many people there as possible. You can also find our YouTube channels, The Evil Atheists, as well as ZZZ Giant Awake for myself. And, yeah, let's get the show on the road.
Alrighty, so today is March 20th, 2016, guys. And I just started reading Seth Andrews' new book, Sacred Cows, a lighthearted look at belief and tradition around the world. So the foreword is written by Mr. Dede. He's a YouTuber. You guys should go check him out. He's a pretty funny guy. So here is the foreword, and it's supposed to be sarcastic and lighthearted. So here it is. There are very few things or people I hate more than Seth Andrews. I hate unnecessarily difficult packaging, stubbing my infant toe on the corner of the bed in the middle of the night, an adult using the word gross on national television as though he were 13, and people who hog the passing lane without regret. After that, the list is very short. Seth, and more Seth. So it's pretty funny. You guys should go read it. Seth Andrews' Sacred Cows. Go check it out.
Sweet. Yeah, I haven't read it. I haven't looked at it, so I'll have to do so. So let's, I guess, kick it off with the Bernie rally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Bernie rally in Salt Lake City.
Yeah. The one that, so it was up at a big, actually, outdoor fairground. This is a place.
Heritage Park.
Heritage Park, yeah. It was a pretty big venue. Both Matt and I had the opportunity to be in the area. We couldn't get in.
Yeah, we could hear Bernie, but we couldn't see him. Our view was a wall of porta potties.
Yeah, and a Secret Service looking dude.
Yeah.
Did he have sunglasses on and everything? And
Yeah.
he was just standing there all sharp looking?
With the little earpiece, you know.
Oh, okay.
Looking at us.
I was stuck at
him.
work.
Yep.
But I got the most important day off, and that's the caucus day.
Yep, March 22nd.
Yep.
And I did too. I'm proud of myself.
I didn't get
on.
it off, but I'm gonna be there right before 6, and I'm gonna caucus.
Yes.
I'm going to caucus so hard.
So Arizona, Utah, and Idaho are all voting on Tuesday. So if you live in one of those three states, make sure you figure that out tomorrow, so you can register. So you don't have to do that at the place. But I think you still can, at least in Utah.
Yeah.
That's right.
There are not as many delegates up for grabs this week, but I'm pretty sure Bernie's going to sweep the board. Arizona's kind of questionable, and Arizona is a closed caucus. We talked about closed caucuses. They kind of are not a caucus even. It's a closed primary, which kind of sucks.
Yeah,
because independents kind of get the fucking bird for that.
Yeah, that needs to be changed.
Yeah, there's a lot of things about our voting laws. Every state has different voting laws. We need to change most of those. And Bernie says that as well. You know, if you're over the age of 18 and you're an American citizen, you get to vote no matter what. You have one vote, and they should make it easier.
Yeah, and I don't even like the idea of like a closed primary at all. I don't even like a semi-closed primary. And I kind of lean more towards primaries because caucuses can be a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
If you go to a caucus, if wherever you're voting, for whoever's listening, if you're going to a caucus, make sure that you plan on spending a good hour or two there. Make sure that you have something prepared to say if you want to say something. Practice it before you go in. Make your case for who you want to have as your representative, and then be prepared to stick around for some drama, because caucuses are kind of like they're kind of asinine, to be honest. People just stand around and people count other people, and then delegates are selected. And make sure, because we saw this in Nevada, where they didn't have a very good system in place, and people, this one that I saw, they counted the people, and then they the people who did the counting came up and they did official counts, and Hillary won, and And dude was like, oh, yeah, Hillary wins whatever number to whatever number. And then he dismissed the people from the room. And then he's like, oh, shit, I didn't do this correctly. And Hillary was going to win either way, but like they hadn't selected the delegates, the state delegates to go and represent or go and it's not represent, but essentially go and take the vote to the state level. So, yeah, I mean, he just majorly fucked up. And expect that. Like, just expect the worst, or plan for the worst, hope for the best. But I'm pretty sure the rally was fucking insane.
It was awesome.
There were, like, easily more than 10,000 people there. We couldn't obviously count because we didn't get in. And even if we had gotten in, there's no way I can count to 10,000.
Yeah, they estimated that 14,000 people were inside. And then, like we said earlier, Josh and I didn't even make it inside. And there was a big group of people outside.
Yeah, on the West Wall. Some people, like some of the news stories, reported 3,000 people. I have a hard time saying that it was 3,000. It felt more like 800 behind the West Wall, and then there were a ton of people to the south of the rally. But yeah, it was overall it was really cool to see how many people are involved with politics.
Yeah, and I just want to point out that all the people I saw there supporting Bernie were. It was every type of person, every demographic, old, young, white, black. It was everybody.
Yeah.
That's really cool. And I like how the Trump rally was held in Salt Lake the exact same day.
Yes.
And there's conflicting reports on how many Trump supporters showed up. I read 500 to 600. I've read 1,200. But I like the fact that same day, Salt Lake City, a very Republican state, only... So let's estimate it. Let's just say 1,200 people.
Okay.
So let's say 1,200 people showed up for the rally, the Trump rally, but still, the same day in a very Republican state, 15,000 people or 14,000 people showed up at the Bernie Sanders rally.
Yeah, 14,000 people made it inside. So
made it inside.
15,000 people plus. Barking was insane. Like I was gonna go park up the street by my sister's house and walk, but it was like. As far back as that was, it was still, like, full parking.
Yeah, the parking was crazy. I actually got a parking ticket along with another 1,000 fucking people who parked on the side of the road that said no parking.
Oh, really?
And I was at the top of the hill, so when I was leaving, driving past all the cars, I was looking at them, and every motherfucker got a ticket. So the state made a good 30 grand right there.
Yeah, for real. But I do like how many people showed up to protest the Trump rally as well. It shows the demographic or the I think a lot of the people in charge and in the government in Utah, well, they're very Republican, but it shows it could possibly change this year. We could become more purple, maybe even blue.
Yeah, and I that's one of the things, like when we talked about electability on that Hillary Clinton episode a couple weeks ago, Bernie Sanders is far more electable in a lot of these states. I guarantee if it was Bernie versus Trump here in Utah, that we would swing. Like, and that's insane to think that Utah might swing if Bernie Sanders was the nominee on the Democratic side. Like, we've been... One of the big frustrations about living in Utah and being political at all is that, I mean, you vote for your local representatives, but when it comes to president, it's like we feel a lot of the time that we're throwing our vote away because it's so red. Like, it's 60, 70% of the votes always go Republican, especially when Mitt Romney was the fucking nominee.
Yeah, it is encouraging to know that a lot of Republicans here in Utah are... I don't know. They can look at Trump and understand that he is a fucking psycho. I know many conservatives that say they will vote for Bernie. Yeah,
if it's Bernie or Trump, they're going to vote for Bernie.
Yeah,
and stuff. And I know a lot of conservatives now who are switching over to Democrat just to vote for Bernie.
Yeah, and so also just to talk about some local politics for a moment, I know that Mike Lee's up for re-election. Let's not let him get re-elected if you live in Utah. Both Mike Lee and Orrin Hatch are both complete bitches for the oil companies, and complete bitches for the gun companies, and complete bitches for all of the corporate interests. So let's upset and make sure that they know that they're not fucking welcome to represent us because they take all this corporate money.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Vote them out. When in doubt, vote him out.
I wish we were more like that. Like, we have Senate has like a fucking 13% approval rating across the country. The U.S. Senate does, and yet motherfuckers have an 80% re-election rate, and that's insane. Like, we hate our fucking representatives, but for some reason keep putting them back in place.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's absolutely nuts.
So I guess that 13% that approves of them are the only ones voting.
Yeah. Yeah. That's seriously it. Like, I think that we would swing if Democrats and independents got out to vote. I think that you would see. So people say, the pundits on the right side say that they're the silent majority. Bull fucking shit.
Oh, that's a lie.
They're absolutely not the silent majority.
When more people vote in U.S. elections, when there's a higher turnout, Democrats win.
Yeah, and I think that libertarians also are and I'm not a libertarian, but I think if libertarians showed up, they would at least pull 5% of the vote if they all showed up and voted for who they really wanted.
I know the last election, Gary Johnson, the libertarian, got 1%, and that was the highest a libertarian has ever got. But I think you're right. If more showed up, I think they could get 5%.
Yeah, I think that I still think that would be underrepresenting how many libertarians exist in the United States.
Yeah, I think the Libertarian Party is definitely growing. And I don't hold all libertarian views, but I like seeing that. I like seeing more parties grow, more options grow. This two-party system is, I don't know. I don't like it.
A lot of it's just this establishment politics, and I think a lot of people understand that, and they're sick of the the Democrat Party, because they don't do anything for us. They act like they do. They say they do. They run for office. They get in office, and they don't do shit.
Yeah.
And they just do stuff for their own self-interest and the interests of billionaires and millionaires and people who make all the money.
Yeah.
And then the little people get shit on. And so a lot of the middle class, a lot of people like us, we're understanding that, and we want change. We want some real change. None of this fucking fake Obama change.
Yeah.
But some actual change.
Yeah, and I think the Democratic Party as a whole, as it stands right now, the DNC, in my mind, and how I understand it, they're center right. They're not fucking on the left.
Yeah.
They're very pro corporate, and I mean, what were you saying about Bernie Sanders, that he's center left, right, Joe?
He is center left. Yeah.
Yeah, in that he would essentially be center left in world politics, but he looks extreme left in
American politics.
Yeah, when the rest of the world looks at Bernie, they're like, what the fuck? He's just like a normal candidate.
Yeah.
But here in the U.S., everybody's freaking the fuck out because he's a socialist.
Yeah, and that's one thing that really bothers me. And people are like, "Oh, you just want free stuff," and it's like, no, we just want to see our tax dollars going to us. That's the thing. It's like there are people out there getting free stuff with tax money, and it's super rich. They're on corporate welfare. There is socialism already, but it's for the 1%.
Yeah, and
they don't have to do any work. They get all of our money. They get all the tax breaks, and we have to bail out the banks after they cause an economic collapse. So that's what I think Bernie supporters really want. We want to see our tax dollars actually helping us, and not big corporations, not CEOs on Wall Street, not fucking billionaires.
Yeah, and let's talk about the Walton family for a second. And that was one of my favorite lines of the stump speech that Bernie gave, is let's talk about the Walton family. So when Joe's talking about corporate welfare, what he's talking about is Walmart's employees make $7 and they make between $7 and $11 an hour, which is not a livable wage. So what happens?
Poverty wages.
Yeah. So what happens is a lot of these families, families of the people who work there, have to file for
food stamps and different social programs.
Yeah, and like they have fucking Thanksgiving boxes so you can donate food to people who work at fucking Walmart.
Yeah.
In the stores, like that's asinine. So what we end up seeing is that all of these people, so instead of Walmart paying their people what they should pay their fucking people, Walmart pays their people less, and the people who work there can get by because they're getting food stamps. So we're essentially giving money to Walmart. Yeah. And so if the Walton family actually paid their employees a decent fucking wage, then we wouldn't have to worry about, I mean, they wouldn't be the wealthiest family in the United States, and we also wouldn't be worrying about $20 fucking million in food stamps going to families that work at Walmart.
And I hear a lot of people say, "Oh, Walmart isn't a career. That's for like young kids to like start their working career in their life." But what obviously shows that argument is bullshit is Walmart is the biggest employer. It replaced General Motors as the biggest employer in the United States.
Yeah.
So it's not some small little company that's just employing a small amount of young kids to start their life. It is the biggest employer. It employs moms and dads and kids alike. You know, it employs everybody. And all those people deserve a living wage.
Well, my friend, we had somebody on the podcast. I don't want to give out any names, but his father worked out in Tooele at the Army disposal stuff. He was disposing of the chemical weapons we had, and he worked out there for like fucking, I don't know, it was like 20 years and stuff. Well, they laid off a bunch of those people, and he couldn't find a job anywhere. The only place he could find at the time was Walmart, and he had to work at Walmart for a couple of years, making shit money. He ended up losing his house and everything. But that was the only place that would hire him. And he had all this
Stuff.
Well, you know, no, sorry,
boobs, because you're making like the boob signal.
No, like, I mean, you know, experience. He's had all this experience. Like, he was head over there. Like, they had to wear jumpsuits and stuff and masks and stuff while they were destroying this. He was in charge of people. You know, it was very dangerous. He had all this experience, but after losing that job, he couldn't find nothing. Then he was working at Walmart. You know, and it's sad that he was making shit money there, and he ended up losing his house. And that's the thing. Walmart the Walton family have, what is it? More money than the bottom 190 million people in America.
Yeah.
But they can't afford to fucking raise their employees' wage to a decent living wage.
Yeah.
It's a joke.
You know, and people like to also paint this as an economic thing, you know, where it is, but it's also a moral thing. I mean, how can you be one of the richest families, you know, in the world and feel all right with yourself that you're paying all your employees not enough that they can fucking have a residence, have a place to live, and have fucking food?
Do you guys know the name of that place on I'm trying to remember where it's at. It's like 70th South and it's not on State, but it's like 400 West.
What, Trader Joe's?
No, but close to it. Hang on just 1 second. Yeah, that place, Winco. So how they have their business structured is their employees make like $15 an hour working there. And they also, employees immediately get benefits. They get put into the 401k, as well as they become partial owners of shares from working there for a while. So this isn't making anybody rich because it's completely employee owned. So you don't have like a Walton family in charge of it that's making all the money. It's like a union dream center for grocery shopping. And if all of the Bernie supporters, instead of shopping, if no Bernie supporters shopped at Walmart and started shopping at Winco, you would see an extreme shift in how the world thought about, or at least the United States thought about, buying groceries.
Oh yeah.
And Winco's completely is totally competitive with Walmart's prices.
Yeah, and I'm fine with the Waltons making buku bucks, you know? I think people should be able to make money, but you should pay your fucking employees enough money to live.
Oh yeah.
You know?
Oh, yeah.
And if they did that, they would still be rich as fuck.
I take a very Spider-Man stance on this. And if with great power becomes great responsibility. If you have the chance to help people, you're making that much money, and you have the chance to raise your employees' minimum wage up to a living wage, then you should. And if you don't, you're a fucking douchebag.
Yep.
Fuck Walmart.
So let's get back, because we actually have only been supposed to be talking about Bernie and Trump rallies, but yeah, I think that was a good conversation.
Definitely.
But let's get back to Donald Trump's rallies. So there were protesters there.
Oh, yeah.
And
That doesn't happen.
and this was put up by a friend of mine, J. Seth Andrew, Anderson, not Andrew. He posted it on his YouTube page, so it's independent film. But he's a pretty cool dude, and he's pretty public. He was one of the first people. He was actually the first same-sex couple, him and his partner, to get married in Utah. So
Right on. That's pretty cool.
yeah, here's a video clip of protesters against Donald Trump.
In Salt Lake City, Utah.
Yep. Load, please. Loading.
What are you doing, Josh?
I'm fucking loading.
Oh.
There you go. And that's pretty much all of the audio. But in the video, you see at least 200 people marching against Trump for when he got into town.
So what you guys couldn't see is they were blocking 6 North. And I've heard the argument be made that this is a violation of one of the clauses of the First Amendment, which is the right to peaceably assemble. Now, I semi-agree with that, and I disagree with some of the ways the protesters are doing it. But one key thing I want to point out is that the clause in the First Amendment says the right to peaceably assemble. And watching a lot of the Trump rallies, you can argue that they're not peaceably assembling.
Oh, definitely not. Definitely not. And that's funny, too, because the mainstream media and everybody always says, oh, these Bernie agitators. Well, in every single goddamn video, you see a protester holding up a sign or just walking away, and some fucking crazy Donald Trump supporter comes up and attacks them.
Yeah.
You know, when they're peacefully just protesting.
Yep.
And stuff. But you always see the Donald Trump supporter throwing the first punch. Or we just watched a video just a minute ago where the guy didn't even fight back. He just starts getting hit and kicked in the face.
Yeah, and we'll post that on the Evil Atheist group page. So join the group page.
Yeah.
And fuck Trump, he's a chump. No, and my thing, I don't think that they did anything illegal. Actually, the street was being blocked off by police for the Trump rally. First off.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So they were marching to protest that our streets are being used to support Donald Trump. That was what I read in a news story. I don't know.
That's one reason.
That's news to me. That's awesome.
One of the chants they were saying was whose street? Our streets. Whose streets? Our streets.
Yeah,
And
and
stuff. So it was pretty cool.
yeah, but I wish that they. So I have no problem with swearing like fuck Trump. I have no problem with that, but it does. So Trump has been bringing out the worst in both sides. Honestly, I wish that we were more less forceful with the way we did things. Like I heard a story from one of my friends who was there, Dan Ellis, who was on the podcast actually, and he posted on Facebook that he saw someone say "fuck you" and lift his middle fingers up, one of the protesters, and then one of the Trump members did the exact same thing back. Like, we don't need to stoop to their level. We don't need to get in the mud to wrestle with the pigs. I mean,
the way you're going to beat them is by logical argument.
Yeah.
And yelling "fuck you" into somebody's face is not a logical argument.
Yeah, but do you really think Trump supporters understand logic? I don't think they do.
It doesn't matter. We're not.
People
trying
are
to,
listening.
Yeah, that's what matters. That's who we're
Okay.
trying to win over. Is the people who are undecided. The people, because I mean, who's not going to decide this is the racists. The racists are going to be on Trump's side. Like
They made up their minds.
Yeah, and so no matter what you do, those people are going to be pro-Trump. It's the people who are not that extreme that are trying to decide what to do and who to vote for. Those are the people whose minds we're trying to change. All right, so we've got about 4 minutes. Do we want to go into another story?
Did you have that audio?
Oh, yeah, let's just play that audio and finish this half hour. And this is a part of an Occupy Democrats video called Sexist Trump Quotes. And actually, I think the lady introduces it. This is not the full thing, so we're not infringing on anything that's not fair use. But here it comes.
Real quotes from Donald Trump about women. A person who is very flat-chested is very hard to be a 10.
I'd look her right in that fat, ugly face of hers.
Look at that face. Would anyone vote for that?
She had the height, she had the beauty. She was crazy. But these are minor details.
I like kids. I mean, I won't do anything to take care of them. I'll supply funds, and she'll take care of the kids.
You know, it really doesn't matter what they write, as long as you've got a young and beautiful piece of ass.
That must be a pretty picture. You dropping to your knees.
Yeah, so that's not the full thing.
Yeah. And they just keep going like that. Awfulness, fucking awful.
Yeah, and like this is the tip of the iceberg. This is the shit that he says publicly.
Yeah, imagine what he says in private. And I shared that video on my Facebook page, and it's funny how people are still like standing up for him that he might not be a misogynist.
Yeah,
he might not be racist. He's probably racist. He's probably misogynist. No, he fucking is.
And then Hillary Clinton interrupts Bernie and like constantly, and then finally he's like, "Quiet, I'm talking." Oh, Bernie's a sexist, and it's like because he was telling someone to shut up because he was sick of them interrupting him.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like the litmus test for me on that particular thing during the debate is: would Bernie have done that to a dude? Hell yeah, he would.
Yeah.
He probably would have done it fucking sooner. So I have no problem with what he did there.
Not at all.
But with Donald Trump, like, I don't know how people, like, there are a number of Hispanic people who support Donald Trump. There are a number of minorities that support Trump. There are a number of women that support Trump. And I don't get why. Like, he has no interest in you or your rights or the little people. Like, he has zero interest in actually making our lives better. And I don't know where people get that idea. Oh, we'll make America great again. Bull fucking shit. He doesn't give a fuck about that.
America was great when we are the front runners in everything, and we are not the front runners in anything anymore. Well, we are in some aspects, like maybe
adults that believe in angels.
Yeah, that's about it. And that's the thing. You want to make America great again? We're the only country right now. One of the last. We're the last huge industrialized country that doesn't have universal health care.
Yeah.
And we're 27 in education, and we're 100 in this, and 56th in that. And that's the thing. You want to make America great again, invest in our education.
Yeah.
Let's get public colleges and universities tuition free, and invest in the young people. Let's make sure everybody is healthy and doesn't have to go bankrupt in order to see a fucking doctor. Let's make America great again. Vote for Bernie. Make America great again. Vote for Bernie.
And get out of regime change. Stop endless war.
Yeah, and there's a lot of things that we could touch on with all of that that have far better arguments behind them than Donald Trump's like, I'm going to build a wall. It's going to be fucking fantastic. You're going to be so tired of winning. I'm going to win so much. Like, fuck you, man. Like, and unfortunately, my Donald Trump voice and my Bernie Sanders voice are the same. Yeah, but
Sick and tired of hearing about your damn emails.
But yeah, so make sure you get out and vote if you can. vote for Bernie. Really do. Look into it. If you haven't looked into it at this point, start looking into it now. It really, I made up my mind after doing probably 2 hours of research, because on important issues, Bernie Sanders has been consistent.
Yeah.
And those are like foreign wars, the income inequality, corporate welfare, as well as campaign finance reform, which is something that absolutely needs to happen. We will never really own our politics until we get money out of it.
Yeah, that's right.
Bernie Sanders has been on the right side of history and voted for the right side of history, I think, in the past 40 years. Like, his record is fucking spotless. Yeah. It's ridiculously clean. And you can see it in a lot of his old videos and everything, like on C-SPAN and stuff. And you can tell he really is upset, and he's upset that children are on the street, and it fucking bothers him. Yeah. And he's a great guy. You can tell he really wants to help as many people as he can.
All right, so that's going to wrap up this half hour. We're going to have another half hour available for you. It'll be a little more than a half hour on both, I'm sure. But thank you guys for joining us. Go to the Evil Atheist group page and join us there. Also, check out our YouTube channels. Mainly Recklessly Skeptical, but also The Evil Atheist. We have a couple good videos that are going to be going up on The Evil Atheist here soon.
And remember, atheist is always plural.
Yep, always. Huh? For the group page and all that shit. That's right. What Matt's talking about. All right, take care, and until next time, we'll see you around.
Bye. Peace.